And welcome to Debate 4-on-1. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. And of course, this is that particular place where we get to put issues on the table and get to debate them. Today on the program, Rwanda Decides. And as Rwanda Decides, we are doing an analysis after the Supreme Court's ruling against the Green Party's application to stop or block the Constitution amendment to amend Article 101 and, of course, do away with term limits in Rwanda. My guests in studio, none other than Benjamin, who is a legal expert. Welcome to Debate 4-on-1 once again.
Thank you, sir.
We also have our friend from the media whose ears are always on the ground, Alex Ngarambe. Welcome to Debate 4-on-1.
Thank you so much.
And also we have Professor and Dr. Venuste Karambizi. Welcome to Debate 4-on-1.
Thank you.
And also his friend, who's also an expert on legal issues and constitutional affairs, is none other than Robert Butera. Welcome to Debate 4-on-1.
Thank you so much.
So we have a full team, a full house. We have a lawyer, we have a journalist, we have a professor, and of course an expert. Let's quickly look at the first impression that came out from this ruling by the Supreme Court. Was this a case for the Green Party to win? Maybe let's start from there, the legal expert. Looking at the legal procedures and arguments that the Green Party had put, forward in this case. Was this a case for them to win anyway?
Thank you, Mr. Nangwe. First and foremost, I think it is an exuded, profound moment for Rwanda, and in particular for the Supreme Court, for having led the population and the minds and the cry of many into the right path. Now, coming to the question you've asked, the arguments of the Green Party, they were far-fetched.
Far-fetched?
Yeah, and they did not look into, first and foremost, the preamble of the Constitution into its entirety. Because you realize that all that happens that makes up a constitution, it starts from the preamble that gives a layout of what the people want.
So first of all, in your opinion, it was far-fetched.
Yeah.
Ngarambe, was it far-fetched? Do you think this was a case for them to win or lose?
Well, thank you again, Mr. Anangwe. But before I come to that, okay, I don't want to disagree with the court. The court's decision was, and I want to respect it. But where I think Green Party and Mr. Habineza lost it, they lost it from the beginning. And I want to, first of all, credit them. They put up a very spirited fight from the beginning. They explored all the possible legal avenues. Unfortunately, they didn't, the ruling was not in their favor. But where they lost it from the beginning, where it was reported that in the legal fraternity, our land friends are here, they'll try to tell us. From the beginning, it was reported that Green Party and Mr. Habineza had failed, or they got it so difficult to get a representative, to somebody to argue their case out in court.
So you feel they lost because they didn't have a powerful legal backing?
Maybe they could have gotten, but there was a fear. I want to believe there was a fear in the legal fraternity. I don't know why the legal fraternity had this fear. They did not, or it was presumed they feared. So that was the whole case getting crumbled.
And that's where they went down.
Exactly. So the legal fraternity will have to tell us.
Before I bring in
why?
Dr. Karambizi and Robert, you are from the legal fraternity.
Yeah.
Is this a true representation that there was fear in the legal fraternity to back up the Green Party in court in this case?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Nangwe. Maybe what my brother did not tell us, how can that fear be categorized? What fear was that? Because as a lawyer, we are officers of court, and at the same time, we owe a duty to our clients and to the state. it would be absurd to find that I represent or I accept maybe to be in a case where I know that I'm not doing a service to my state. So, in that respect, if there was that fear, then in my own opinion, it was genuine.
It's a genuine fear.
Yeah.
Dr. Karambizi,
Okay,
Professor, you've been watching this from the backstage, and of course with your expertise. Was this a case for the Green Party to win? And probably what has cooked up to this day that we are today? What's your analysis?
my analysis as a professor, as a politist, and as a political analyst, I think Green Party lost the case not because of fear or other circumstances, but because the evidence was against its initiative. Because when you consult Article 101 and 193, it is obvious that the people of Rwanda, using its institutions, namely the parliament and the other institutions, has a full right to change any article within the constitution. So when the Green Party initiated the case, it was struggling against the objectivity. Maybe they persisted in continuing to conduct the process for pure political reasons, but legally speaking,
There was
and
nothing in
politically
there.
speaking, they can't they can't win such a case.
So it was a losing battle.
Yes, they are condemned to lose.
They were condemned to lose.
After the decision of the Supreme Court, they told about bringing the case before the president. But even there, I think there is a new reason which can help them to win this case. They should do better to abandon.
They can do better by just abandoning the whole process.
It is not defendable.
Robert,
Yes.
your thoughts? This was a losing battle, the good professor says. Do you agree?
I think yes, because when I followed up this case and I realized Green Party had no basis to launch or to lodge that case before the Supreme Court. Why? Because the case was, I think the state was trying to change. Because in the case it was Green Party versus the state. But the state had not taken any initiative to amend. It was only at the initial stage when people are giving in ideas. But there was no any shift towards or any state's initiative taking on to amend this constitution. So to me, I think Green Party was a misguided missile I think to me they were seeking for publicity. And no, I can't say, because for lawyers can always guide us, you launch a case because there's a disagreement or somebody has done something, so you have to take this individual to court. But the state had not done anything. The willingness of the citizens to amend the constitution it did not necessarily permit Green Party to take the state to court, because the state didn't do anything.
But still the Supreme Court accepted to hear this case.
It did accept.
And they felt that was already a win for them. The fact that the Supreme Court accepted to hear our case, it's already a win for us.
Of course, because it's there to serve the interests of citizens. So, and Green Party and its members are part of the citizens. So they have the right and every mandate to listen to everyone, whether you make sense or not, and they guide you accordingly. To me, I think there wasn't really like an objective factor taking, or Green Party taking that shift running up to the Supreme Court. That wasn't a case, and it was a non-issue to me.
Dr. Karambizi says here that, it would be good if the Green Party just decided to abandon the whole process. But Ngarambe, the Green Party now says they want to seek the opinion of the president, petition the president himself and ask him, sir, please just say no to this whole issue. Is this even a viable option?
It can be viable maybe on moral grounds. If they are seeking the president's moral obligation not to step forward, that is okay. But if they are
But what do you mean by
petitioning,
moral obligation?
because I don't think the president as an individual has the powers to overturn the ruling of the Supreme Court. I want to believe the judiciary should work independently of the executive. So, Mr. Habineza petitioning the president, and the president is a party to this whole debate. You know, this whole third term debate. The president is a party to it, a very big party to it. It's like co-wives trying to plot against the husband. You are very sure one is going to betray the other.
Who's the co-wife in this whole?
Joe Habineza, rather sorry for the name, I'm talking about Frank Habineza.
Yes.
He is vying. He has a political party.
Yes.
He is vying for the highest office in the land. RPF today, we don't know whom they are fronting. But the party has kept silent about it. So they are giving us an opportunity to speculate.
Yes.
And I can speculate and say that President Kagame is going to come back. That's the opportunity they have given me. So if the RPF, as it stands now, their leader, party chairman, is still President Kagame. He is also, and I want to believe by RPF keeping quiet, he still has the interest in coming back. So these are two individuals you can call political rivals, rivaling for an office, the highest office in the land. And this is Mr. Habineza going to his rival
To tell him to stop, give
to
up
beg
his-
him. So that's the moral obligation I'm talking about. But the lawyers are here. If it is true legally that the president can overturn the ruling of the Supreme Court, and that is the basis under which Habineza is petitioning Kagame, I don't think that would be right.
We have a legal expert here. Would this even be a viable option? Can this happen?
Thank you, Mr. Nangwe. What the Green Party is trying to seek is like building castles in the air. First and foremost, when you read Article 104, it stipulates the oath of a president. That article of the Constitution of Rwanda. And it is so clear that he swears in allegiance over the people that gave him the mandate. So he's a servant. Now, it's as if you can fail to find the master and run to the servant. At the end of the road, the servant will have to turn to the people. Let Mr. Habineza and the Green Party run in the whole country the way the Senate did and ask the people, can you please do this and this? But as for the President of the Republic, he's a servant like any other kind of person and has no all that authority may
So what
be
you're
to
saying
give.
is the president's hands are tied
Exactly.
and he cannot make a personal decision and say, this is where I want to go with this.
Because he's a servant of the people.
Do you agree, Dr. Karambizi? Is this
Okay.
even true?
Not fully. We have not. We have to consider the president not as an individual, but as an institution.
Yes.
And when we talk about the president, it's not the individual for His Excellency Paul Kagame.
I object to that.
It is, okay, let me continue. You shall object afterwards. The president and his surrounding represent the supreme institution in the nation. So it is the right of each and everyone to seize the presidents or the president
Yes.
when he or she estimates other institutions have not done business correctly. So the president is a referee. He can arbitrate.
So it's possible.
So when personally I say that Green Party should do better not to present the case, it is because there is no any objective element to support, to conduct Green Party to some victory. But addressing the president, I think it is normal because he's the supreme institution. And as such, he is in a position to arbitrate, and they have to rectify something that Ngarambe said about RPF. It has nothing to do with this matter. RPF has not been attacked. It has not to defend itself. And you have to consider the president not as a chairperson of RPF, but as also the president of the republic. Once he has been elected, he represents the whole people of Rwanda, even though we know that he's the chairperson of his party, RPF, but when he's operating, officiating,
he's
you have to
representing.
behave as the president of everybody.
Yes.
So I think if the Green Party persists in its will of addressing the president, can do it, and the president shall arbitrate. But I think the solution will be negative, not because the president is the chairperson of a rival party, but because objectively this case is not defendable.
Because at the end of the day, the head of state has been categorical in several interviews with international media. And he has said that I have not instructed anyone to ask for another term for me or the removal of these term limits. It is the over 3.7 million people who are saying this. And it is up to those who are opposed to this, you know, to convince these ones who are saying that we want this change to happen.
Yeah.
And he automatically says it is not about me, it's about these people. Robert, is it even possible to go to the president and tell him that, you know, the court said this, but we want to beg you personally to say no to what they're telling you to do? How possible is this? How viable is this?
Like I told you from the beginning, you know, sometimes there's this saying that goes that what kills a skunk is the publicity it gives to itself. So when you keep on, you know, attracting media, to me, I think, again, he's misguided. Because if there's a ruling that is the highest court in our country that has taken a decision, even the president has no mandate to overturn his decision.
Oh, yes.
And unless he wants to imply that the president is more stronger than the institutions in place, which is not the case. The only solution that he has to do is what my colleague suggested, going back to the citizens. Article 1 says that the Republic of Rwanda shall be governed by the principle governing the Republic of Rwanda is the people, by the people, for the people. There's that clause. Article 1.
So he has to go back to the people.
He has to go back to the people and request to them maybe to reconsider their willingness to bring back the president. But you cannot say you're going to consult the president after
the ruling.
After the ruling.
Ngarambe,
So it
you
doesn't
have
make
your
sense.
ears on the ground on this one. And there are concerns that how can he or the Green Party or those opposed to the changing of the constitution or the amendment go back to the people, yet in the first place, you sidestepped us. You went to report us to the courts that we are planning to change the constitution, which we want to be the way we want it to be. Now you say you want to go straight to the president and again sidestep us. Now you're thinking of coming back to us. I mean, how possible is this? How can this even work out with the
I don't
people?
think there's a problem in going to the court first. It's not about the chicken and the egg. If they have the rights and what it takes, if they are not breaking any law, they should go first wherever they want to go. If they chose the courts before, it is okay. And actually, I think the VOA quoted him yesterday, that's Habineza. He's not ruling out. Actually, he's saying next week he's going to the people.
Yes.
And I don't see any problem with that. So which came first, it does not matter. So he has all the rights to... Actually, the biggest court he should be going to is the people. That's true. That's very true.
Should that have started first?
No, I don't want to talk about what should have started first, because he has all the rights to start wherever he wants.
What do you think, in your own situation, chicken and egg situation, where should the Green Party have started first? The people or the courts first?
In my own opinion, I think the Green Party looked before it made a foundation. And as such, misery to that house happened and it had to fall prematurely. First and foremost, these are the people that say that, looking at how this system has had us for these years, why don't we have that continue?
Yes.
And now, the Green Party and its Habineza runs to court. Is it court that said that, look, our people we sent to parliament,
Yes.
you amend this, or it's the people that did this? So, he and his party should have first gone to the people that you're writing petitions, but I think it of this way. Can't we first maybe tilt it this way before we go to court? So, he missed a step.
So, Councillor Benjamin, did he break any law going to the courts first? Was he allowed legally to go to the courts first?
I can say yes, but in the natural law and in the way things operate, he missed a step. There is no way, for example, your son can break a glass and you beat a daughter. He first went to the Supreme Court, which Supreme Court did not write petitions to Parliament. So, he had the right to be to the Supreme Court because he had a locus standing, but at the same time, he failed to focus on which real point was the main cause.
So in your opinion, what you're looking at here, looking forward, your analysis is that when he goes back to the people to campaign for a no vote, these people are likely to tell him, go to the Supreme Court where you thought you'd get the correct answer. Is this what you're analyzing?
You go and maybe first deal with the Supreme Court that you thought that is so powerful than us. We, the people that rose the dust and caused the Parliament and the Chamber of Deputies and the Senate to sit even in consecutive times. Now you underrated us and first went to the Supreme Court. So I presume and I believe that they will tell him the same thing, that you go to the Supreme Court that you think that is mightier than the will of the people that is in Article 2 of the Constitution.
Super. Now, we take a very short break. When we return, we understand that there's a draft of how, if the Constitution is changed, it should look like. We'll be talking about that, and of course I'll be highlighting some of those areas for more analysis right here, and your thoughts on that as we digest this issue of Rwanda Decides right here on Debate 4-on-1. Stay with us, and of course what we need from you is also your thoughts. What are your thoughts on this whole issue of Rwanda deciding its own destiny? Do you believe that we are on the right track on this particular issue of the amendment of the Constitution? Of course, your thoughts coming through via Twitter at Debate4on1. Keep tweeting. Use the hashtag Debate4on1. Go to Facebook, Eugene Anangwe. That's the page. Leave a comment right there. I'll be sampling some of them right here. We'll see you after this very short break. Do stay with us.
So Natasha, are we cornering our teachers? Are we being unfair to them?
At the end of the day, Fiona also mentions that the more you show them this condom, the more you're opening up their mind to having sex. But do you feel well represented? Do you think the media issues are well taken to the table when it comes to advocacy? How do we convince them and say that we shut it down because you exceeded the limits? The word conservation looks just complicated, but how do we simplify this?
what role do our schools play then? And the people around our children, what role can they play in order to avoid these children becoming a menace in the society?
Caroline, you just want to sound moral, but you're just not accepting the reality on the ground.
Well, I want to sound moral and encourage it and practice it.
This is an EA production.
And welcome back. Thank you so much for being with us right here on Debate Forward 1. We are live and coming to you direct from RBS Studios. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. Today we're talking about the issue of Rwanda deciding its own path when it comes to issues of the amendment of the Constitution to do away with term limits. And of course, earlier on, there was a draft that was actually approved, and of course, it is suggesting that term limits have to be scrapped, and says that the president should be elected for a mandate of 7 years, as many times as it is possible. And of course, this is bringing to some concerns. A few people are saying that, yes, we want the Constitution to be changed, Article 101 to be amended, but only to remove term limits for President Paul Kagame. But here's a proposal that we do away completely with term limits and give anybody that becomes president a term of a term, that is 7 years, but they can run as many times as they possibly can. Is this a risky affair? Do you feel that this is indeed what we need? Because there are certain fears from certain quarters that what if we later on get a president or a leader who we feel needs his powers or his terms limited? What do we do at that level?
Okay, thank you. First and foremost, the people should understand, the viewers should understand from the initial stage,
yes, that
power still is not in the hands of the President of the Republic. The way they've petitioned the Parliament, it is still possible that in the near future they can also do the same to reinstate the term limits. So the issue that they should do away with term limits,
yes,
specifically for President Kagame,
yes,
and after his leave, then they reinstate them, it might, one way or the other, show some segregation. But if the president can serve,
yes,
and they feel that he's not doing well, why not kick him out?
So through another referendum?
Oh, yes.
So are we going to be a country of referendums and the amendment of Constitution?
That is the question. That's the biggest question. All right? I really don't think it's unfortunate that Rwanda is one step into joining the other countries that have removed term limits for leaders to rule until, who knows, Lord Jesus Christ comes back. So the question is, are we going to keep, if, for example, let's say President Kagame, is so loved by the citizens and they have petitioned, fine, he has performed well. How about if tomorrow if he has served the next 7 years, and after that we have another leader,
yes,
who is going to serve, God forbid, to dip this country into a mess, for example? Are we going to do another referendum? Or is it better to have a fixed principle known by the leaders who are going to come and those who have gone, to simply keep it at that? Whether you're good, you're judged by the principle.
The number of years you serve.
Whether you're bad, you are also removed by the principle.
Do you share the same thoughts? No. Are you worried that we will have to go for more and more referendums, or you feel that this is the right way to go?
Actually, the question is not all about the terms,
yes,
to me, because we have many countries that have really performed to their best and they have no term limits, including Germany, including Italy,
Singapore.
it has Singapore. These countries have really done their best. And the other thing, the fears that
That's
are
a wrong
embedded-
comparison, I think.
the fears we have,
Yes.
that when we extend the term limits, we are likely to have a body leader. But even within a period of 14 years or 7 years, we can have the same body leader in the 7 years that he's going to turn the country into shambles.
Yes.
So to me, it's not all about period. It's all about the service that people expect from this leader. We can be bad within a week. I can also be good for forever.
Professor,
so it doesn't
how do you
count
read
to me.
this yourself?
What you have to understand is that the change the people for Rwanda is conducting about the constitution
Yes.
is not to give to President Kagame the opportunity of being a leader of this country forever, but to give him the chance of entering once again in the competition so that the people has the chance
But
of profiting on his competence.
We're talking post 2017 because the draft says that the president shall serve a number of years of 7, but the terms are
Yes.
infinite. So
But
this is not just
this
about
openness
the
for
president.
me,
It's open for anyone who becomes
probably,
president.
if we consider the way the process is evaluating, I think
Yes.
the article shall be amended, and probably President Kagame will get the opportunity of competing with other candidates, and as we know, he's competent and beloved by the people, probably shall win another mandate. But for me, it is not bad because there are mechanisms, some are formal, other informal, to prevent a bad president from continuing being in the office. Because, okay, suppose President Kagame win another mandate. If he continue behaving correctly, he shall continue. But if he happen to have a problem, the people is there. It shall judge. If maybe President Kagame continues to behave correctly, and after him we get a bad leader, we are here. We be people with mechanisms put in place to deal with negative behavior of a president. And even within the mandate, the people has the possibility, the power of intervening and using other institutions, and not necessarily the referendum to the bad leader go out.
But
To
I
go away.
think
So the
we
people
are
will deal
getting
with
it
that.
wrongly.
How are we getting
because
it wrongly?
I wouldn't want to really dwell down to the personality of the president or President Kagame in that context, because he has not proclaimed or declared that he is contesting. So I think we need to shift the debate to the case that Green Party took to the Supreme Court. He didn't take the case against President Kagame contesting because the president has not declared his intentions to contest. So when we bring the discussion to his contestation, even before he declares that, to me, I think it's a wrong way. To me, I would think, what is the intent of repealing the Article 101? It's because they think probably it is not all about, because the president can also decide I'm not contesting the next time. But it's only giving provision to the good leaders like him to have a chance to lead beyond the 2 terms that are stated into Article 101. So to me, that is the case. It's not all about President Kagame. We can also have the same period of time even after his
And actually, before you come in, the issue actually is no longer just about the term limits. There's also a suggestion of the age limit for the president after this amendment, if it goes through, if the referendum goes and then it is adopted. There's the age of 35, which is being suggested, that a president should be from the age of 35. And there are some young people out there who are saying, you know what, when you're defining the youth, we are talking of people up to the age of that 35. So where does this leave the youth in terms of leadership? Because even the head of state has been vocal and saying, I want whoever takes over from me to be among the young people, the youth. So where do you see this? I mean, in terms of the young people and leadership of this country?
Actually, when they talk about 35, a leader should be 35. They should also tell us when should an individual, at what age should he stop being a president? Because we have a president in this region where it came up as term limits. They removed term limits. The age was kept at 70. Now this individual has clocked 70. They are amending to remove the age limit. So it should be very clear from 35 years to what age.
There's a proposal around 75.
Well, that's a proposal, and like the lawyers say, or the constitution belongs to the people. Personally, I don't want to see a president of 75 years in the office. No. That's my opinion.
Benjamin. First of all, 35. Look at the youth. Look at the leadership of the country. Look at the gap, the closing gap, 75. What are your thoughts on that proposal?
Practice and nature has always ruled it and looked at it that logically the youth at 35, at least they are now starting to have mature thoughts to plan for their families, for example, if they are married, and to plan for big projects. Now, it is, I think they put 35 because they didn't want anyone who just has sham interests.
Do you feel those who are around that age before 35 have sham interests?
They
cannot be presidents?
No, I'm not saying that they are not competent. But at the same time, to protect the interests of the people, there has to be a bracket at which a person should be a president. And it's not that below 35, they are not citizens and they are not competent. But to be sure that the citizens' interests are protected, at least 35.
Dr. Karambezi, with all due respect, how old are you?
Yes, I am 59 today.
So you could be president if you decided to vie?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that age limit? That age limit that is being proposed, that 35 years should be, that person should be 35 years, and proposing that at least by 75 you need to be retiring from active politics or being president.
At 75?
Yes.
I think it depends on many factors. Some people are still strong at 80.
Yeah.
So if we look around...
Bangarambe says he doesn't want a president who's 75.
Okay, I think the floor...
When Dr. Karambezi says at 80 some people are strong.
Yes.
Do you talk about physical strength, mental strength?
Mental
this
strength.
is the time we are going to start seeing presidents falling down, all of a sudden falling down.
I want to object to you, my brother.
Let me finish.
This is the time we are going to see.
Maybe let me finish my idea.
In the UN conference,
please, you should have
Dr. Karambezi has the floor
to intervene.
Yes.
I personally agree with the floor of 35. It is reasonable. As for the ceiling, I think, okay, even we could even set up 80 years as the upper limit. Because we are in a young country, but for strong countries, that matter of age doesn't is not so considered.
Yes.
People consider the effective competence. You can be advanced in age and be gradually more competent than somebody younger.
So age should not be
an
issue.
So we have to consider before everything the competence, and until the age of 80, many people remain strong. And we have many cases, many examples of presidents who did well, many heads of state who did well.
But where does that leave the youth who are claiming that they also want to be
No.
leaders.
You know,
Where does that leave them?
before
If we do
35,
not have a camp.
the young people are exercising other jobs which are helping them to acquire enough experience in order to be able to lead the country. Leading the country is hard. It requires experience, it requires even natural gifts and so on and so on.
Yes.
So those young people can practice other jobs which are so many in the country.
It must not be
And
being president.
And they wait for the maturity, enough maturity, 45
And then they
years,
can contest.
and they enter into competition.
All right, Robert, for you, this age, you seem young, energetic, robust, strong. What is your thoughts? I mean, you seem to be still in that bracket of the youth. Are you past 35?
No. But
Yeah.
I think, the age factor to me is a social construction. And it's not a standard measure in every country, because we have countries that are led by youths
Yes.
below that standard
Yes.
that we've set. But in Africa, why I think 35 is basically the foundation is because we complete our campus almost in that same age bracket.
Yes.
So I think it makes no sense when you leave campus and then you want to become a president of the country.
Yes.
So because most of us finish campus or complete our education into that particular age, and you have no experience whatsoever, so you need some skills, you need some knowledge to lead a country. You know, leading a country with diverse views and opinions, like our colleague Frank Habineza and our colleagues. Again, you need to know, to have this, the ability to manage such diverse opinions and views. So to me, I think it's a good measure, though at the same time, it cannot be taken to be an effective age or a good standard measure for every continent or every country. So to me, it is just it's subjective. You can discuss it yes or no based on the interests you want to define. But the ceiling, again, to me, you know, we used to have kings, and these kings really had to lead up to when these guys are really done. And we have some other countries that are built in that context that are monarchical in nature, but they have these queens and kings, and they are leading.
So you're
in the
not
countries.
worried as a young person about this age gap?
No.
Let's look at another
don't
thing.
think,
Let's move the conversation forward and then look at a statement that the head of state has made in one of the interviews by another international media, and he was saying that this whole constitution amendment process could, be one of those situations where Rwanda will either make its own path and decide its own destiny, and either live to celebrate its achievement after this, or live with the consequences of this whole process. Ngarambe, do you see us living with achievements, success, celebrations, or having consequences that will be sitting down and saying we wish we never took that path?
I don't think the history of this country or the achievements of this country will depend on the amendment of this constitution. The history will judge us. The achievements will come through hard work, whether there is amendment or not. However, to create a culture of peaceful transition, a culture of, if we think this is the democratic ideals we want to instigate in our country, can we create that culture as well? We have created a culture of excellent performance. Why not create a culture? Because I don't think there are going to be any consequences by President Kagame leaving. No.
Objection to that.
All right, honored.
I'm talking about negative
There's an
consequences.
objection here. Let's hear from
I
from
object
the
to
lawyer
that.
here.
You've talked of that there will not be negative consequences. And I think there would be even much more worse consequences negatively, because
If what happens?
supposing it becomes a morning and we say that now the Green Party, the decision of the Green Party is in the lead. Here is the situation. The people of Rwanda are not sure of a system that will come next.
Yes.
They are used of a system that has taken them from sleeping on the streets, from dirt, from potholes on the road, from sleeping with dogs and in fear that they will be killed. And now that's why they are fighting, so that that system can remain. Now, supposing there is another tilt, do you think there will not be any immigrants again?
So, Mr. Benjamin is assuming that Green Party, or indeed any other party, do not have the capacity, do not have the knowledge, even to perform better than RPF has performed.
I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is, and the viewers should note this, that the people of Rwanda are guaranteed of security of the system they are in now.
But the security is not RPF.
Okay.
This is a state.
I'm not talking
apparatus.
of RPF. I'm not talking of RPF.
No, we are talking about
I'm
once
talking
Kagame leaves power. All right? What next for Rwanda? People are saying we are not guaranteed of security.
Yes.
That's far-fetched.
How? Why
The security,
that is far?
the security organs
Yes.
of this country don't belong to any political party. All right?
We are not discussing political parties.
Oh, yes, we are.
We are
Let's
discussing.
have the wisdom of the
we
the
should
good professor
even
here.
discuss about the political parties. It is a matter of competition.
Yes.
RPF won the exercise of the power in the name of the people by competition. It was not given the power freely. So, any the competition remains open.
And the Constitution is also
Yes,
open in
yes.
Article 53,
In
54.
the future
of political
presidential
parties.
elections, every party is invited to compete.
But the wrong assumption is
Yes,
this.
if another party happened to win, it should exercise the power. But what is rare today, RPF is the strongest party.
Exactly.
And this allows it.
That's not-
but
that's not the
coming
problem.
back to our
Back to the
topic,
question. Back to the
coming
topic.
back to our topic,
Yes.
I think that Rwanda, as any other country, has to avoid letting itself be lost in formal democracy, in a change for change.
Yes.
We have to consider the substance. What the people is looking through the person of the current president, namely President Kagame, is his exceptional competence.
Yes.
And the process of change he initiated is not finished. So the people is thinking in itself, okay, we need him at least for a mandate or two, and afterwards we shall
We can know what happens
see
next.
the culture of governing the country correctly will have taken roots.
And by then we'll know what to do.
By that time, okay, we can maybe
Pick
thank
someone
him
else.
in this same correct. But by now, truly speaking and realistically speaking, I think
Doctor, we are out of
a person
time.
like
Just finish
President
up.
Kagame
Yes.
is needed because he initiated the change in Rwanda, which had not taken part before him. We know the history of our country, and the crisis he crossed. It crossed. So now, I think the people needs a bit the competence from that person. If we accept to continue exercising, he shall prepare
Someone else.
Yes, smooth change.
Transition
But
that Garamba is talking
meanwhile,
about. Let me now
the
jump.
competition is open. Anybody else can compete.
Yes, let me go now to Bwana Robert, because we are pressed for time and we have to go. And it's the same question I'd asked on the issue of whether this process will help Rwanda forge its own direction, own path, on issues of term limits. Because anytime someone talks of term limits, everybody says, but we don't need term limits. I mean, or we need people to have term limits so that we don't have presidents for life. But if Rwanda successfully goes through this and achieves something out of it, it will have forged its own direction. But others are saying we will have consequences that we might live to regret. Where do you see us going with this as Rwanda decides?
To me, it's a question of people deciding. It's not all about, there's no individual in this country that is vested with powers to determine the prosperity and success of this country beyond its citizens. Citizens have that mandate where if they choose, to take on President Kagame as their leader, they have decided their way to success. So to me, they have actually greater stake to either failure or success. So the major component here is people deciding, and when they decide, they are part of either the failure or the success.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, gentlemen. That's all the time we had for. And of course, David Ngusi, thank you for your tweet. You said, when one serves well, why not to continue? And when does the contrary, he or she should not be considered for another term. We also have Benon who said, I mean, age would not matter as long as a leader is ready to transform the country politically, economically, and socially. Thank you so much for your tweets and, of course, the comments that have been coming through. Asanteni sana for being a part of Debate 4-1. We'll see you again on Wednesday. We're looking at the performance of the private sector. Is the sector ready to lead the economy as stipulated in Vision 2020? A private sector-led economy. That's what we'll be discussing right here on the show this Wednesday, 9 p.m. It's a debate you don't want to miss right here. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. Goodbye for now.
This is an EA production.